is deep yet full of jest. Come on in, you found the best. Between two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined, laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in command.
Jesus, we're doing it again.
Dude, yesterday was Jesus' day. It's Monday today. It's the day after Jesus' day.
It's not Jesus Day
Isn't it?
anymore.
Oh, it's a bunny day. It's bunny day.
No, that was yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. I was saying
Right.
yesterday he said, "Oh, Jesus." And I was like,
Oh, no, I'm just saying, oh, Jesus, we're going to do this shit again.
oh
Do
yeah,
this
yeah,
shit
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Here we
yeah.
are.
We're as popular as Peeps. Very few people like us.
But the people
Yeah.
that do really like us.
Oh hell yeah! And honestly, I like Peeps and I like us. So
You like Peeps?
I like Peeps. Yeah.
Ugh,
Hell yeah, brother.
that's a
Come
rough
on.
ride.
Man.
Have you ever done the s'mores with them?
No.
Mm.
Oof.
There you go.
Okay.
It's my
I
gift
feel
to
like it
you.
would just catch on fire and just be very bluish flames, no matter what color peep it is.
Die from dye poison.
Yeah, just kill everyone downwind. Like,
Sorry,
uh-oh.
Grandma.
But delicious.
Say we have a very good guest today, very interesting guest. But before we do that,
Yeah.
if you remember a week or two ago, I told you a mom story. She's lovely, but a little kooky.
Yeah.
And I have a story. I speak to her every week, and she regales me with tales of boredom. Really, she's retired, does nothing, so she's got
Reads
time to
raisin boxes.
write to Sun-Made Raisins and shit. So she's living in it's an apartment complex, but it's like tiered assisted living. So as you age, anyway. So
Yeah.
a lot of old people there, but anyway, that doesn't really.
You don't want to
make
be
too
top
much
tier there.
No, you don't want to be on the top floor. They just recycle and they push you off at the end.
Like, well,
Next up,
this is the last floor you're ever
it's
going
like
to live
the
on.
tile game. You know?
Yeah.
So she tells me, well, I started a logbook, Michael, just out of the blue. There's no prompt.
Of cuss words on our show.
Nope. Yeah. She ran out of paper. I said, a logbook. What for, Mom? Well, I will tell you, they're doing some maintenance in the building, and I've noticed the temperature of the water has changed.
Ooh, that's big.
Okay.
Depending on like how much she turns the hot versus the cold. Yeah,
You're getting there.
My bad.
So I said, logbook, do you mean like, did you take a piece of paper and a pen and a ruler? She said, actually, I did. I have columns.
Why'd you
and
get a ruler? What's a ruler?
I don't know. She's got a ruler. She got a lot of rulers.
Okay.
Anyway, so I said, so how do you collect this data? Thinking in my mind, knowing her, it's a thermometer. She's like, my finger.
Yeah.
I said, so it's not scientific at all. And I said, what are your barometers? Like cold, lukewarm, hot. Okay.
Like, do you turn a different side of the faucet on every day to test it?
This is the thing, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking she's got hash marks on the shower knob, so she turns it to the same spot every day. And I said, how much data do you have? She's like, I've got a week.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what? She's like, well, I've reported it, and they're going to look at it.
Okay.
I said, okay.
They're
So
like,
then,
sure, no problem.
Right.
We'll get right on that.
yeah, you crazy lady in 4B. So then what happens, Mom? She's like, well, I'm going to start the logbook again
Uh-oh.
because I want to make sure that they've actually fixed it.
There you go.
And I said, okay, then what? She said, well, I've got my cover letter prepared. Cover letter for who?
What job are you applying for?
I don't know. She said, well, I've prepared a cover letter for the maintenance team to give them my feedback on the pre and the post repair,
Man.
thinking it will not change. And I was telling the story to my sister, and she said, can't you just turn the fucking knob?
Yeah.
Like hotter, colder.
I think there needs to be
The
a
hash
marking
marks.
point, or
There has
like
to be.
it's all hot on, or it's
Right.
like, man, when I have a cup of coffee in my hand, I'm holding it by the glass.
Yeah.
Then the temperature feels different.
Uh-huh.
But when I'm holding an ice glass, a glass of ice water, then
It's weird how I don't
I'm
get it.
tracking it though. There's coffee stains on her little logbook. And
This image of her, I hate to say it, but naked with her finger in the shower head, just with a stopwatch.
that's
okay. That's more
I like how
lukewarm.
I don't remember her saying shower or anything about that in your story. At least it's just it could have been the kitchen sink, but
No,
you chose.
It's a shower.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't really pay attention. So
Yeah. Well,
anyways.
you know.
It was what else? We talked to Sam.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's mom's story. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, we do have a fun guest here. He's a guy I've known for quite a while, friend of a friend, former Coronado resident, and he's got a pretty cool gig. Samuel Richards, welcome to the episode.
Hey, I'm happy to be here to follow on, that story.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's
I
dig
realized
back into that.
I realize now the last thing I said was my mom naked, and then Sam's on.
Yeah. He's all like,
Sorry.
yeesh. You turn my earbuds on, my earbuds.
I gotta go.
Give me a shooter gun when you're done talking about your naked mom, and I'll join.
Oh man, it's great to be here, gentlemen. Great to be
Thank
here.
you.
I'm
Thanks
not tall, but I do have a beard, so I fit in kind of.
Yeah.
You got 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got a gigantic heart and a big old arm.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, he always does this joke. He's like, he's done it a few times to go out and pay for like, what's the tab? He's like, Richardson's. It's like dick but longer, and he yells it out. It's pretty funny.
So my last name is Richard. There is no S, but Keith is much more popular than I will ever be.
Right.
So
Right.
I have to correct people often. So I either say it's not like Keith, there's only one of me, or I say it's like Dick but longer.
It's pretty good.
That's
line.
good.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, is what it is. So
Naked moms, long dicks.
I honestly can't focus
It's a
either.
family show.
Man.
It's a family-
Don't know
it's a
where this
family
is
show.
going.
There's just say me and Sam look at each other. I've been doing like a lot of shoulder strokes. Like, I don't know why he's talking about his naked mom. You know,
Again.
that's all that I can think about now. But anyways, so welcome to the show, Sam.
Hey, thank you. A long-time listener,
yeah.
first-time guest.
I think
Yeah.
the first guest we had that actually listens.
Or at least confesses to it.
And I was going to tell you that I actually use a VPN, so I am your listener from Venezuela.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I could tell by the accent.
Juan Pablo is here.
I felt bad when you guys say you have international listeners. I'm like, you guys know
change the
VPNs
country every
like a
time you go to a
thing.
different
I mean,
VPN.
we're not smart, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's. But the majority of people are from Oklahoma, and they get routed through Ireland or something. Shit.
We're huge in Oklahoma. Yeah. So, anyways, you used to live here in the neighborhood.
I did, yeah. At
time ago?
1830 North 12th Street,
Dang.
12th Street in Palm.
Very specific.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I remember it, and I just had to look it up too. But the home used to be owned by the Jesuit Volunteer Corps.
The whole core stayed there?
No. So like the home
Jesus.
it was a halfway house, right?
Oh,
So like you're re-entering society from a stint in prison. Well, a private individual bought it, and then me and 4 other dudes like rented it,
Yeah.
but no one told the neighbors. So we're
all just thought,
throwing keggers, smoking weed in the backyard.
I don't think it's working.
They're going to go right back in, man.
And I'm pretty sure that Doreen still lives in the neighborhood. Sweet Doreen
She's so nice.
was the one who told me that because
Oh, man.
she came and knocked on the door and was like offering to let our parole officer know. Like, actually, none of us are on parole.
Oh, that's hilarious.
She's like,
so-
hey, just so you want I'm totally cool in your PO now.
That's right.
If you
You're
guys
going
can't get to
back.
the office because you're drunk, let me know and I can go down for you.
But no, it's great. Loved the market. When it was time to buy, I was priced out. So
Dang.
we don't live in Coronado currently, but
Yeah,
we
that does happen.
love
Yeah.
visiting our friends over here.
Yeah, for sure. So you and 4 other dudes?
Yes, that's
Dang.
right. Yeah.
That was a big house, huh? What, 1,100 square foot?
Well, it had a little casita back before we
Oh.
could do that.
Okay, so
right?
3
Yeah.
dudes in the casita
That's
or in the
right.
house and 2 in the casita?
Yeah, and I think that someone lived in the kitchen half the time, so
Yeah. He's on parole, man. He's like, honestly, man, I'm supposed to be able to be here through November, but I can't make me leave.
made a lot of great memories. Living right across the park, there was always something to see out your front window.
Yeah, there still is. It's mostly
Oh, yeah.
shootings, though.
Yeah, lately, man. You got out of here in the nick of time.
Uh-huh.
How long ago did you leave the neighborhood?
2008.
That's right when the crime started.
Yeah.
That's right when the
Curious.
crime
Right.
started.
After the halfway house got emptied.
Halfway house.
Correlation is not causation.
Uh-huh.
That's cool. I know you had some of the friends you lived there. I'm friends with as well. How did you end up like in Coronado? I mean, that was forever ago. And young man, like, how did you end up moving into the other halfway of the house?
Yeah, so that was, I know there's a lot of inside baseball on this show. So a previous guest, Dylan, so he was known colloquially in a group circle as New Seth. Well,
Yeah.
original Seth was the one who invited me to live in the house. So Seth had the casita, and then there was a room that was open, and I was looking for a spot, and Seth said, "Come on down."
Nice.
So that's how that happened. And Andrew he lived there for a while, and Steve spent a lot of time there, but Steve never lived there.
Yeah,
But
he just
anyway.
lived. He was the guy in the kitchen.
That's right. That's right. He did spend time in that kitchen. That's
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
No, that's fun. So you guys lived here. This is long. That's a long time ago, man. Like, what do you notice now? Like, what do you miss from the pre 2008 days of the Coronado? I mean, any staples? You were just like, man, these were the times.
No, not really.
Okay, all right. You
Moving on to the next question.
super good. Are you like a life coach too? Or?
No,
I like-
I miss the people. I think that there are quite a number of historic districts that carry a level of pretentiousness, and I've always loved that about Coronado. Is there's really none of that. You could live here for 15 years, you could live here for 15 months,
Yeah.
and they treat you the same.
Man, well, that
Yeah.
costs extra. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
charge you.
seriously. Especially if you're in a halfway house, man.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, we'll treat you as long. How long were you in? Okay, 9 years. We'll start treating you cool, man.
Yeah.
Or halfway. Meet him halfway. 4.5.
Don't get too close to going back to prison.
Yes, is the lovely Doreen letting you know. Hey, by the way, I'm calling your parole officer. But she literally rolled up and was like, "Just an FYI,
Yeah.
I'm gonna narc on you guys because it smells like the devil's lettuce over here."
That's right.
But in the nicest way possible.
Yeah,
That's
super.
right.
Here's some flowers.
And I made you a pie.
Yeah,
I think she actually did make us pie one.
Of course
Yeah.
you did.
There's like a file in it. It's like, hey, save this for when you're back in the clinker when I rat you out. I'll get you in, but I'll help you get out.
I hope you're listening, Doreen, and hi.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Oh, that's unlikely.
Yeah, yeah. Still in the neighborhood. Super nice post. I think she does the good morning thing on her message board. Is some cool picture pretty much every day.
Oh,
Pretty good
nice.
stuff.
Sunflowers?
Yeah.
Too soon?
Too soon, brother.
Okay,
Save
fine,
it for the
fine.
next one, man.
It's okay. That's fine.
Oof, yeah.
A preview. It's a preview.
Yeah,
Right.
way too soon. There's too much sunflower drama in this world these days.
Sunflower oil or the actual sunflowers?
There's a big drama that happened this last week or so of someone stealing my sunflowers. This happened multiple times. But finally, when a neighbor caught him, yelled at him, got a picture of him, and it got really popular on the message board. And,
Got it.
Yeah, it's escalating. But Julie's going to be on next. She's going to talk about the whole.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to
It'll be
open
great.
up some balloons. It'll be great.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously, I might end up in a halfway house. Anyway, so you got kind of a cool career you've been on here and really out there doing. Yesterday was like kind of you doing the Lord's work on the Lord's day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Literally the Lord's work.
He
Yeah,
is risen
literally.
indeed. You know.
yeah, he is risen. He's probably on the couch, stoned as hell now. But yesterday, after them peeps, whatever. But what is it you do, Samuel? And how have you changed the state of Arizona for the way better?
Oh well, I appreciate. I can't take much credit for anything, but my job, my career is in kind of government affairs, lobbying, and campaigns. And one of those campaigns was Prop 207. So I've spent some time in cannabis lobbying and was a part of the broad team that helped successfully write, run, and then implement Prop 207, which legalized adult use cannabis in Arizona, which is a fancy way of saying that everyone can smoke weed without threat of criminal justice involvement. So
Oh,
no
yeah,
halfway
man.
house is necessary.
Damn.
And it was really great. I mean, so when you said like, what did you do? I mean, you know, at the time it was 2020, right? Like the time has come. I think everyone, definitely now, but even then, was tired of sending people to prison, sending people to jail
Yeah.
for a plant that's been an inextricable part of human existence for 30,000 years. So we won at the ballot 60% to 40%.
Nice.
And this is the year that Joe Biden won Arizona by fewer than 11,000 votes.
Yeah.
Right. So you had very, very tight races up and down the ballot, but everyone loves weed.
Yeah.
So
Both sides,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like, that's the only thing we agree on.
that's
you know?
right. And really, some of the people who voted against it really didn't vote against the fact that weed should be legal. They just didn't like how it was legal, right? They
Oh,
wanted it to be
I see.
available at, every corner store, but really even today there's only about 145 different locations where you can legally purchase cannabis. And that's a part of Prop 207. There's actually a mechanism that for every 10 pharmacies, you get one cannabis license essentially.
We'd have thousands of them. There's so many Walgreens. When we first moved out here, it's like undeveloped areas. There'd be a corner with nothing for like, a quarter mile around it. CVS.
That's right.
Everywhere.
A lot of dispensaries in Sun City.
There actually are a number of them. Right?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
It really sucks to age, right? I'm sure. I'm not sure if
Why
your
are you
mom's tried
pointing
it
at
out,
me?
but
Why?
Yeah.
were you just talking about your old naked
my
mom?
old naked mom.
Your
I
finger
would-
temperature thermometer starts failing on you. Yeah, trucking right logs.
Oh, I'd love to get mom so fucking stoned. It's so fun.
Sure.
Holy
I
shit.
think you told us a story where she was stoned.
Maybe it's possible.
She's like, when I'm high, I have just a Twinkie in my finger.
I
I
have a
can't
magic finger.
Hey now.
Yeah, my temperature's high. I'm like, don't tell me how you know. Don't tell me how you know.
I stick it. Nope. You don't.
No,
we don't.
Save it for Christmas.
We call that a second knuckle fever.
Oh God, I gotta go to church. Anyway, I have some follow up questions. I know Brian's got a bunch, but
Yeah, go for it.
because you gave us a lot of information there. So first, I'm interested. What drew you to drawing up the proposition? What made you go, I want to do that?
Yeah, so my route to drug policy broadly is criminal justice reform. I think that there are some very clear things that are and should continue to be illegal in society. I don't think that the private consumption of narcotics should largely be one of those. Outside of a handful of very dangerous and highly unregulated substances, I don't think that people should be going to jail or prison for marijuana, psilocybin, LSD. There's a whole long list here, but
Right.
we only have a half an hour, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, basically what's in your backpack.
so my route.
Podcast over.
Yeah. In 20 minutes, it's going to get really funny.
My route to that was really rooted in criminal justice reform. And one of the things that I'm most proud of in Prop 207 is that prior to that initiative, we didn't have expungement in Arizona, and now we do. Expungement is essentially a way to completely get a charge removed from your criminal record.
Nice.
So we had something called record sealing, which is essentially that you don't have to disclose it to certain functions, but law enforcement still had access to those charges under record sealing. So expungement now is the law of the land. In addition, the very wrong-headed war on crime that started under President Nixon, what needed true reforms, and a significant chunk of Prop 207 dollars actually go to fund restorative work in communities most harmed by the wrong-headed war on drugs.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
You mentioned the 60-40 split, excuse me, on the ballot. Were you surprised by that? Or was that like, yeah, checks out?
Yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit higher, frankly.
interesting.
But I do. I mean, like honestly,
Yeah.
anything over 50% plus one was gilding the lily. But yeah, that hoping for higher was a little bit of a pun there. But yeah, I think that what I was most affirmed by or encouraged by was this affirmation that the community across Arizona agreed with me and my colleagues that it was time to do this, right? Arizona has a very large number of people who kind of float in and out of Arizona, and a lot of people connect with Arizona's nature when they're here.
Yeah.
And in my personal experience, and I know it's shared by some on this podcast, being in nature while high is one of the most amazing experiences.
Yeah.
And, as long as you're doing it safely and responsibly, hiking, hanging out at a state park after a gummy or a joint or two is a beautiful, beautiful experience. So now even our tourists can reliably and safely appreciate that experience, knowing that their products are tested, knowing that those tax dollars are going to responsible sources, and knowing that there is no threat of criminal prosecution while you're here in Arizona.
Pretty great. You ever seen the Grand Canyon?
I have.
You ever seen the Grand Canyon on weed, man?
What is with the accent?
Half Baked, man. You ever seen the movie Half Baked?
Oh, yeah.
What's
when I
his
was
name?
12.
Yeah, you're baked. Just
Fair.
thought it'd be funny,
I did. Yeah,
That's
you
how
did it.
many people were introduced to Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I believe it's
Absolutely.
pronounced chapel, but that's fine.
I just know him as Dave.
Fair.
Cool. So, what do you see? For the future of Arizona, is there more work being pushed towards legalizing more things? like magical things or
Like unicorns?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Can't speak to unicorns, but there was an effort over the last couple of years to legalize psilocybin in Arizona. I'm not connected to that effort, which is not why it hasn't been successful. Just to be clear, I'm not.
Get in there, man.
But I do. I will say that I think that one of the interesting pieces, and if I can get on a soapbox here a little bit,
and we can look eye to eye.
I know. So I think that when it comes to certain classes of psychedelic experiences, it really doesn't jive well with commercialism and capitalism broadly. So the effort that was pushed by a certain number of folks at the Capitol to legalize psilocybin was actually through ketamine clinics and not really the decriminalization movement that happened in Oregon or let's say Colorado or even in Berkeley in California. So I think that was part of why it hasn't really caught steam yet is, magic mushrooms or psilocybin really doesn't have to be purchased in a cyclical or kind of like a pharmacological kind of way. It can be, 2 mega doses or hero doses, and then, you don't really have to do it again. As Tim Leary says, and others have kind of paraphrased over the number of decades, once you get the message, you can hang up the phone, right? So that type of therapeutic doesn't always mesh well with capitalism where you're on an SSRI for the rest of your life or once you get on a statin you're never going to get off, right? And I'm not saying that psilocybin has the power to cure cancer or anything like that, but I think that where it does have efficacy, it doesn't really have a profit center, and that doesn't really work with our society. And frankly, that's really where a lot of the cannabis industry is struggling right now. This is a crop that has been literally growing like a weed for 30,000 years as a part of society. All of a sudden we make it federally illegal, so it has a very, very sexy premium that you have to put on it. And then now that margin's going away because you're way overtaxed. And these businesses, I think it's somewhere, the last number I saw was somewhere in 2 in 5 cannabis companies make a profit.
Interesting.
Most of them are running in a deficit. And you think, how hard can it be? You're selling weed. But most of these companies have an effective tax rate of 70 to 80% because they can't take the regular deductions that a typical business might, because it's still a Schedule 1 federally illegal industry.
How do they? I guess my stupid walnut brain can't get around that. If it's legally available in Arizona, yet it's a federally illegal drug, those two things don't click for me.
Yeah. So
he turned the news off 6 years ago, so we got to catch him up on a few things.
It's actually very true.
I've got really bad news for you, buddy. That is the least of our problems.
The Pope died.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So
I love Pope John Paul.
he's not the one that died.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm really behind.
So what I'll say to that is essentially it shouldn't be is the easy answer. It gets way too into the weeds.
Hey, just,
there we go.
Yeah, he's got the button.
You're on it.
He missed the first one completely, but that's
true.
When you do something funny, you got to give a hand, and then he does the sound.
He
doesn't
coming.
just
Get ready.
Be like, okay, real quick, just do a funny sound. I'm going to say something. You got to prep him.
Really just telegraph it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the Department of Justice essentially has an internal policy that is colloquially known as the Cole Memo, because the guy that wrote its last name is Cole, that said if a state legalizes it, we will not prosecute. But for federal racketeering charges, as soon as money associated with the drug or the drug itself crosses state lines, regardless if those two states are both statewide legal, it becomes a federal crime. So that's why you can't buy California weed or Oregon weed in Arizona, because by crossing the state lines, you create a federal crime.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So it
to be
still
grown
is
here in
legally
Arizona.
federal, right? And it still is technically illegal in Arizona from a federal perspective. But the feds have essentially said, if you're in Arizona and you stay in Arizona, we won't come after you.
Okay. And hence the need for, as I understand, dispensaries can't use a bank account.
Correct.
That shit.
Yeah,
right?
because money in a RICO case, money is treated the same way as the drug, and Visa turns your money into ones and zeros, and there's no guarantee that you can do that. So we have about a $2 billion like cannabis industry by revenue here in Arizona, there are 3 financial institutions that bank them.
Interesting.
Crazy.
And that's because those are the only 3 state chartered institutions that do it.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I'm curious, and going back to your thoughts about ketamine, I'm a big fan. Not ketamine, sorry, psilocybin,
Yeah.
like, and that too. But
yeah.
psilocybin is the thing for me. Like I've did the joint stuff. It's just it's not for me. But mushrooms, okay. It seems as successful as your prop was. Wouldn't those people just piggyback and say, "Hey, you got all this infrastructure already here. Why don't those dispensaries just sell mushrooms as well?"
Yeah. So that's a big part of what my job is, more broad than just drug policy, is kind of charting a course to success on any type of policy issue. And what I would say is, in isolation and in a silo, what you're saying is totally true. Unfortunately, there has to be some type of incentive for somebody to want to fund that. So we raised about $8 million to run Prop 207 because the people who funded it knew that they were going to make it back. Because of what we were talking about earlier, how there's really no kind of like habitual, I mean, there is maybe at a small scale, but you know, it's so economical to grow your own mushrooms, or hypothetically, I've heard.
I'm talking about my friend told me.
So the frustration is that unless the legislature does it, there's really nobody who, out of the goodness of their heart, is going to decriminalize or legalize, which is a distinction, right? You can decriminalize something without legalizing it. It just makes it a lower priority for law enforcement to chase, right?
Yeah.
Which is very different than legalizing the commercial aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably not, the money's just not there. I
Right.
mean, like, you know, people can smoke weed every day, but I don't know a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm just have a cap and a stem, you know, and just relax, you know, every day. It's
because if you think about it, right, like there has been some, you know, peer-reviewed research that has shown that psilocybin can be as effective, if not more, than an SSRI. But you can not take mushrooms every day.
Yeah.
You have to take an SSRI every day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what does,
There's
you know,
no
the
incentive,
makers of Zoloft or Pfizer, they have zero incentive to legalize psilocybin.
Sure.
And I'm not
Absolutely
tinfoily hat about it. I'm just like, look at the numbers and cents, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes
By the
sense.
way, I love your hat. I do love it. Hey, there you are, buddy. How you been?
Jesse, every day.
Every day. I'm like, hey, talk to Mondays. Can you just, you know?
He doesn't even live here.
He just drives all the way from Mesa every Monday.
We could cut his fuel line.
That's true.
Yeah.
You did,
I mean-
it's on now. It's recorded though. So.
Yeah.
I said we could. I didn't know.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's crazy. Like years ago, I don't know, whatever, 15 years ago, I went through a little spout of depression when I was on some medicine. I don't remember what I was taking and whatnot. But again, the end, I was trying to get off it and I couldn't get to see a doctor or whatever. And like hard getting off of that stuff. You get these zaps. Like it was not pleasant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've partaken in magical things in my life and I've never.
Unicorns?
Yes, and finger thermometers. I never had a bad, you know, wake up the next day or weird, you know. It's just, you know, it's good. Like it's and the microdosing part of it's really great. Just you don't really need to even get high. You just, you know, eat enough just to be like, hey, man, I just can't stop grinning. You know, my friend told me that. At least I have no idea if that's true.
You've never done it.
Never, ever.
I also think that things like microdosing are largely misunderstood. I mean, we microdose a lot of things. I'm currently microdosing Miller High Life, you know, and most things are enjoyed in microdoses, right?
Like you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been a good podcast episode.
Our podcast.
But I mean, I like moderation and everything except moderation is one of my go-to lines, right? And I think that, you know, everything is good in moderation, including magic things. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, nothing wrong with that. Do you have any other follow-up questions about your drug use, Michael?
Well, you do bring up a good point because I was on Zoloft for a while. Same kind of deal. I was going through some shit. And I found over time, to your point about it, taking it all the time, over time, it just got to be heavy. I don't know how else to put it, but I felt worse on it.
Yeah.
And I stupidly went cold turkey, and that was worse.
Zaps, baby. You get the zaps?
Yeah, I got,
Woof.
But after that had gone through my system, someone said, you should try mushrooms. I'm like, I've never, like, weed wasn't my thing, but like, I'll give it a shot. I don't give a shit. I felt so fucking good the next day.
Yeah.
Like after I was not high obviously anymore, but I just felt great.
Yeah.
Like the light bulb was like, this pharmacy stuff is just not where
Yeah.
it's at. All the natural stuff, you should seek that out first. So that's why
Absolutely.
I was very curious about the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said a mega dose, is that what the term was?
Hero dose.
or a hero
yeah.
dose or or macro dose.
Is there like a weight to ratio, like what a hero dose is?
Yeah, there is a weight to ratio, so I can't speak to you two giants, but
It's just like-
the general rule is that half a gram and under is considered a microdose. Between a half gram and 2 grams is what you might call a museum dose. It kind of like makes the world better, but you probably shouldn't like operate heavy machinery or like interact with people that you don't know
Or
and
be like
trust.
a security guard in a museum where the animals come to life and shit.
I'm pretty sure that they're used to it. You know that people are going to the Phoenix Art Museum just baked out of their gourds.
Right.
Oh yeah, for
Sir,
sure.
you've been
for
staring at that
sure.
for 5 hours.
Yeah, you gonna finish that mushroom you're hanging on to there, you
But-
hero?
I would say anything more than an eighth, so 3.5 to 5 grams would be considered a hero dose.
Interesting.
Yeah,
pretty
and that's
wild.
really where you get these like wild visuals and like really kind of like I wouldn't say violent, but forceful physical reactions. And,
Yeah, I don't want that.
yeah, but I mean sometimes it can be good. So what I would say, some well-seasoned practitioners would offer that there is no such thing as a bad trip. It's all about set and setting. And when you do experience discomfort or displeasure, it's likely because you're ready to experience that. And that might sound a little woo-woo, but that's one of the things that I've experienced, that psilocybin can really open up parts of you that you don't think you're ready to confront, but you actually are.
Yeah,
It's interesting. It never occurred to me.
yeah.
That was one of the things that before I started taking mushrooms, not regularly, but when I took them.
I mean, like today, how much did you have? Acting like a real hero up in here.
One of the things I was concerned about was, in my mind, once you start that journey, you're on
You're
it.
on it, man.
Like I can have beers and I know like, okay, that's enough. I can stop.
Yeah.
I usually don't say that, but
Yeah, someone else says it to me.
right. You're gonna have to leave, sir. So that was one of the things that I was nervous about. Is it too much? Is it too little? And then the timing of it was kooky for me.
Yeah.
So I took a little bit, and my wife's like, "Just wait." I'm like, "No, there's really nothing." So
6 minutes later, it's taking forever.
I did make a mistake once, and I took too much, and I got a little freaky. But you figure out what your kind of
Yeah.
maintenance dose. I'm not sure exactly what the.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you mentioned the size of us. My wife is smaller, not by a lot, but smaller. So she'll take a certain amount and give me the same amount. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck your problem is, but
Yeah.
why are you smiling at me?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why you just been staring at a mirror for an hour and a half, man?
There are other factors as well, and in medicine, homeopathic medicine for sure, but in other cases we call it the minimum effective dose, or the MED, and that can be different for everybody. But most of the things that you put in your mouth, but
Jeez, man, he's just setting you up over
I
there.
even gave the cue. Right?
Yeah, seriously.
But,
Like, the cue is him like jerking a dick off. I'm like, that's the wrong cue,
That's
man.
the wrong button.
Thank God my mom doesn't listen. But so most of the things that you ingest orally are processed through your liver. So if you put your liver through other work, it likely will take longer for onset of things like psilocybin.
Oh,
So
he
don't
was good.
drink and do drugs.
correct.
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a
Like
mixing.
one at a time is just fine.
Yeah, that's
But
been my
the kids
mistake.
call that
Yeah.
crossfading. You don't want to crossfade.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a thing.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
When you get-
Like if you
especially
get
in,
like really like high and then start drinking a lot, that's crossfading.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, don't cross the streams now.
It's a different thing. It's different. It's on Pornhub, I think. I'm not sure.
Playing swords.
I'm interested. What's the next thing on the horizon that if you could crystal ball it, like we talked about mushrooms, maybe that's it. But what's the next big thing on the horizon as it relates to your work? Not necessarily drugs, but like
Yeah. So I think one thing that I would say is that this election cycle at 2026, because I care a lot about elections and what happens at the Capitol and things, this is the first time since 2014, I believe, maybe 2016. No, it's the first election since 2014 that we have not had a U.S. Senate race on the ballot.
we don't.
No.
Oh, because
So
it's
Ruben Gallego was
yeah.
just elected 2 years ago, and then Mark Kelly was elected,
Oh, curious. Okay.
4 years ago. So we have, for the first time, kind of a wide open, mid-tier ballot race, except for the statewide offices. So, friend of the show, Adrian Fontes, is running for re-election for Secretary of State, but Governor Katie Hobbs is running. And just before we came on air here, President Trump I know you've been off the news for 6 years, but he's president again.
What? He was on The Apprentice. What the fuck happened?
Man, you shouldn't have
guys-
told him, man.
Shit.
Better off.
I
Have you
gotta
ever
take
had his steaks? Not good.
I'm going to take some
Yeah.
psilocybin when I get home.
But he endorsed both Republican primary challengers. So both Karen Taylor Robeson and Andy Biggs now have the Trump endorsement.
But they're both crazy, right?
I mean, crazy is in the eye of the beholder. Karen Taylor Robeson has a very kind of middle of the road demeanor as well as a middle of the road background. She is a developer. She's, a former lobbyist in the same kind of work that I did, or I do, and those types of things. Congressman Biggs was a very conservative member of the Arizona State Legislature and then ran for the U.S. House of Representatives, won by fewer than 25 votes after a challenge, and has been a member of the House Freedom Caucus, which is the far right group, and has been very allied to President Trump. So all of that to say, our race for governor is going to be the most important race on the ballot. And Katie Hobbs wasn't able to say that in 2022 because there was a U.S. Senate race on the ballot. And that wasn't the case in 2018 when Governor Ducey beat David Garcia for the governorship as well, because there was a U.S. Senate race. So I think in kind of a counterintuitive way, Arizona voters might actually care a little bit more about who their governor is as we enter into 2026. So that's what I'm looking for in terms of big things.
That's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Good times.
No, it's not.
Good times.
It depends how it goes.
The world's on fire.
Fun
That's
is in
all.
the eye of the
Whatever. Yeah.
But we'll also have a city council race here for this district.
Nice.
The city,
We will?
Laura Pastor is termed out, so that seat is open. So there'll be a competitive primary for that city council race.
Interesting. I had no idea that she was termed out.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, not really. I mean, I'm just trying to make it sound interesting. 'Cause-
Try harder.
do the rim shot thing.
yeah. Hey, there
did
it
it.
is. Hey, we're back, folks. Thanks for staying.
Wacka.
I get no respect.
Yeah, no respect. All right, we're hitting you a couple rapid fire here.
Okay,
And
I'm
we're
ready.
gonna hang out with you for another minute, hear a story or whatever we do on this episode or show we call here. So, what is the best snack coming from a guy who is all about that?
Okay, so I have a very, very specific combination.
Oh
And
boy.
I will know if it picks up because these things will be sold out. So the sea salt chocolate caramel Tony chocolatoni bar
Chocolate Tony bar.
and
A chocolate Tony?
Sounds
Oh,
racist
yeah.
when you
Like
say
a
it.
guy in shape, a guy named Tony?
yeah, so it's actually
Chocolate.
some of the best chocolate you'll ever have.
Really?
And they're also committed to fair and free trade practices, which is very hard to find in the coca industry. So,
Yeah.
just throw that out. But you have to pair it with the 365 branded gummy bears.
It's very specific.
They are the best gummy bears on the market.
Isn't that Target?
365 is the you can't see it, but I'm holding my nose up. It's the Whole Foods brand.
Oh,
yeah,
who can afford those? Jesus.
You can
What,
get it-
one?
yeah.
You can get them on Amazon Prime. I mean, come on.
What's your favorite snack less than $100?
Unicorn caviar. No, I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but like you need to have something chocolatey, but also something like sweet and chewy.
Do you eat them at the same time?
I mean, not at the same time, but like
In a bowl.
subsequently.
Okay.
Yeah, sequentially maybe. Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
like it. I like getting we have multiple bags of different types of chips and just put them all in a bowl and stir it and just
Oh yeah.
roulette in that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Also,
So good.
Momofuku noodles with
God bless you.
with
What'd you call it,
chili
brother?
crunch.
All right. Last one. What is the best hangover cure?
To not be hungover.
Everyone says that.
Such
Yeah.
a weak, like, oh, I just stick to illegal drugs,
Let's assume that you had a bender and you
Yeah.
were all out of your weeds and you did only high life for 12 hours.
I mean, so you can't like hair of the dog doesn't count. I can't have like a
Sure,
michelada
sure.
at 7
As
a.m.
long as you
Yeah.
actually give
Yeah.
us an answer, we're cool with it.
Then I would say
no one's checking.
a michelada and the Richardson combo at Dick's.
Oh, that's a really solid answer. Way
yeah.
better than that. Don't be hangover shit. You know?
Well, I mean, like there's multiple ways to not be hungover. A, you can just not stop.
I like the cut of this guy's jib.
Well played.
Have you been following me around for 6 years?
Yes.
No, that's awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on the show, man. The good information about the state, voting and drugs and all sorts of good stuff.
About drugs.
Yeah, a lot of information about drugs.
I try to make it interesting, but it is really boring. But that's also like the insidious part of politics and policy is it's just boring enough that people ignore it.
Yeah.
And when people ignore it,
Shit happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's no good.
Yeah.
If people wanted to get involved with initiatives such as you've been involved with, how would they do that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're listening to this, you're probably a TMI regular. So just ask Adrian next time, like how to register to vote. And,
true.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that like anything, the more you get acquainted with it and accustomed to it, the more you understand what works and what doesn't and what makes sense.
Right.
I mean, I don't know the first thing about what to do when you want to grow broccoli, but I know that I'm going to call Brian because he grows some great broccoli.
broccoli.
He's opening a dispensary.
It's like a giant mushroom to me. Like, oh, man.
I don't know. I mean, the last time I walked by, it looked like there were sunflowers in your yard. But
Oh,
Man.
too soon.
Man, that's the next episode.
Okay.
There's not many left, man.
it's called a tease. It's called a tease.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna play this episode after we release that one, so it's called "Oh, they're talking about something that happened 2 weeks ago." Tease.
Check.
Yeah, stay tuned. 2 weeks ago.
Time travel. Speaking of psilocybin.
Yeah. Right on. Well, let's wrap this thing up because I think it's time.
Okay. Thanks again, Sam.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, brother.
Step right up to the wildest show where two big minds are ready to blow. Conversations deep yet full of jest. Come on in, you found the best. Between two giants here you'll find wit and wisdom intertwined. Laughs and knowledge hand in hand. This is the show that's in command. Tall and talking, big in brains, making sense of life's wild lanes. Deep dive chats and fun remain. Bet you won't hear this on the plane. Between two giants here you'll find